Geiger Muller Counter Principle. Geiger Muller Counter is also known as GM counter. Counter is a device which counts something. In GM counter, the numbers of ion pairs are counted. When nuclear radiation alpha, beta, gamma passes through gaseous medium, it ionizes the gas. It is known as ionization. It creates positively charged cation and negatively charged electron. Cation and electron together known as ion pair. When the ionization chamber has a potential between cathode and anode in the range of 900 to 1400 volt, the internal amplification is as high as 10 raised to 8 and number of ion pair produced is independent of primary ionization. When ionization takes place due to nuclear radiation, then it is called as primary ionization. Construction of GM counter. The figure shows the construction of GM counter. The main components are copper tube, tungsten wire, mica window and power supply. It consists of a copper cylinder which acts as a cathode having its length 10 cm and diameter 2 cm with a mica window at one end. The copper cylinder is surrounded by a hard glass tube. A fine tungsten wire about 0.05 mm thick which acts as anode is suspended at the center of the cylinder along its axis. The tungsten wire insulated from the copper cylinder. It is filled with a mixture of 90% argon and 10% ethanol vapors. Argon provides ion pairs while ethanol vapors act as quenching agent. The mica window prevents the escape of gases from the copper cylinder to the atmosphere and allows the ionizing radiation to enter the cylinder. The function of ethanol vapor is to prevent a second avalanche which may be generated due to electrons emitted by the action of photons on the wall of the tube. Working. When alpha or beta particles emits from the radioactive samples, they enter the copper tube through the mica window. They ionize the argon atoms, releasing electrons. The electrons are accelerated towards the central tungsten wire acting as anode. The argon cations migrates towards the walls of the tube and accept negative charges from the wall of copper cylinder and get discharged. The electrons reach the anode. While they traveling, they strike argon atoms and more ionization take place. Thus secondary ion pairs are formed. The secondary electrons cause further ionization. All the electrons get discharged at anode and current is produced. The current became amplified and noted. The function of ethanol vapor is to prevent a second avalanche which may be generated due to electrons emitted by the action of photons on the wall of the tube. The photons are emitted when positive ions and electron combine. The molecules of ethanol combine with these low-energy electrons and thus prevent the generation of a second avalanche. Limitations of GM counter. 1. Gamma rays cannot be measured effectively. 2. When ionization produced in the cylinder, argon cations and negatively charged electrons migrate towards respective electrodes. Argon cation migrates towards negatively charged electrode and electrons move to positive ions. Due to lower mass of electrons and higher speed, it reaches the electrode very fast and discharge. But heavy argon cation required longer time to reach the electrode and discharge. This time required for complete discharge is known as dead time. In dead time, the counter cannot work. Please subscribe this channel and press bell icon for notification of new videos.